Good evening, fans, and welcome once again to the Coach's Corner here on the campus of West Virginia State University. I'm your host, Lee France. Coming up this week, a conversation with assistant coach and offensive coordinator Kip Shaw. Also, we'll talk with quarterback Ricky Phillips. The Yellow Jackets lost this past weekend to Concord 42-18. We bring in Coach Earl Monroe, as we always do, to talk about the game. Coach, you had a week to prepare for Concord, but boy, they sure jumped out on you really quick, and that seemed to just be the downfall right from the beginning.
No question. We had some pretty good practices during the week off. We thought we had some pretty solid game plans. Some of the kids were rested. We got some of our hurt guys back. But we knew it was going to be a challenge. This is a team that scored 72 points against Southern Virginia earlier in the year. So we knew it was going to be a challenge for us. And that first drive was pretty demoralizing. About 6 or 7 plays.
Right. And Concord, I mean, they're a good team, no question, but they had just come off of a win at Charleston. Talk about that possibility of them playing with some added confidence of beating a pretty good UC team.
No question. They were coming in here on a high, and again, a pretty good team. They've got a really good quarterback, really good running back, veteran offensive line, and we knew it was going to be a challenge for us. We thought maybe playing at home would give us a little bit of momentum, but once they got that first score and they got it so easily, I think our guys kind of were demoralized there early.
If you look at field position and field position strictly, if you're playing that game, you did a pretty good job. The only thing is they were able to score on long drives, 67, 74, a couple of 70-yarders, and that was just for the first 5 drives. No
question, and that's what we try to do. We try to establish the field position. We try to punt when we need to punt. Our punter did a really good job on Saturday, pinning them deep, and the punt team had pretty good coverage. But we were just not able to keep them pent in. They had unbalanced formations, several formations. We never really got adjusted to them. That's been a problem for our defense all year. We're going to have to go back to drawing board and maybe simplify some of the things we're doing again. But they were able to drive the ball, both passing and running, and we've got to get it corrected.
Talk about the process that we talked about just a little bit, the hiring and the firing that goes on throughout a game and throughout a season. When you have a young team like this, you want to fit guys into this position. If they don't do well, you get them out. But you mentioned you're kind of back to the first guys. You don't have a lot of depth there.
No question. We don't have a lot of depth. And even the depth, when you fire someone, you're bringing in a new guy, another freshman. So we've been hiring and firing and trying to rotate. And some of the guys have actually come in and done a very good job for us. We had a couple guys that show up Saturday that hadn't played before, had really good games. So that'll continue. Unfortunately, that's what we have to do. We're hard to win football games, and if we've got to shuffle them around, we're moving a couple kids from defense to show up the offensive line this week, so the shuffling continues.
For the guys who didn't get to go to the game, you had 2 quarterbacks in the game once again. Robert Jackson didn't get to play a lot, had a couple of interceptions. Was that the thought process to bring him out? I know he's banged up a little bit too.
He has been banged up, and actually he ended up with concussion symptoms, and he did not practice yesterday. We're going to wait 48 hours to see what his symptoms are. But Coach Shaw has been doing a good job rotating the 2 quarterbacks. He's got packages for both of them. You get a chance to talk to him a little bit later. And both of them have done a pretty good job, but Ricky came in on Saturday and gave us a spark. We haven't been able to protect the quarterbacks that well, and he's got great feet. He can run, and he took advantage of some of that, and I think he's going to be a great asset for us.
Is it something you can put into words, what a quarterback with mobility and awareness like he has, what that adds to your offense?
It adds a lot. As a defensive coordinator, you hate to see that guy that's got the wheels and you sit there and you get to cover people and all of a sudden the quarterback breaks you down. I mean, if you come out of coverage, he throws the ball. If you don't come out of coverage, he runs the ball. So it's like a 12th man on the field because he can throw and run and he can create some problems for a defense.
You also mentioned some negatives that are happening with this team. What are they not picking up on that is disappointing you here through the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season?
Well, defensively, for the most part, we're not adjusting to formations and motions. And, again, that's what scares me this week because Seton Hill gives you, I've got 20-something formations charted. They run the same plays, but just out of different formations. And if you don't get adjusted to the formations, they'll get you outmanned one side or the other. And for whatever reason, we're not getting our checks and we're not getting our formation adjustments down. So maybe we're too complicated right now for such a young squad. We don't have a leader over there, someone that's been in the fire year in and year out that's able to make those sound decisions for us right now. And hopefully the more reps we get and the more games we get into, someone will stand out in that aspect.
I was going to ask you about the positives that came out of the Concord game, and I know the score probably doesn't say that there were positives, but I mean, you're a coaching staff, you break down the film week in and week out. What did you see this week that impressed you about the team?
Well, it's not as ugly as it looked. I mean, Saturday, I thought that was the worst display of defense that I've seen in 25 years. And then when you look at the film, you just want to see maybe Concord just knocking us off the ball and out executing us, and that wasn't the case. Again, it was us not doing the things that we need to do. And we're not in the positions that we need to be in. So that's encouraging if we can get some of that cleaned up. And the kids aren't quitting. I mean, they're playing hard. Mm-hmm. You know, that's evident by, you know, the score in the second half and holding them and actually being able to get on the scoreboard in the second half. We're not quitting, so that's a positive. Plus, with some of the hiring and firing and shuffling that we're doing, we've had some kids step up. We've had several kids step up from week to week.
Talk about Josh Johnson, a couple of catches, a bright spot there, 70 yards. And then on defense, you have Tyler Long. He had 12 tackles for you. Tell me a little bit about both of those guys.
Well, Josh is a big receiver we brought in, and we didn't know if he was going to play tight end or receiver, but he's fast enough to play wide receiver. We even put him back at kick return on Saturday. So he's one of those guys that's got shuffled to the top and actually performed. I mean, I was really excited for Josh, and he's going to be a big asset for us moving forward. Tyler Long has been in the program a couple years, and you know, he got to study under Andrew Eggleton and Andrew Bond and Valentine Bond last year, and he's just getting a chance to maybe start at the linebacker. We play him at Sam, Mike, and we also play him at defensive end. And he had a well of a game for us Saturday. Hopefully, it'll give him some confidence, and he can actually become one of those leaders that we're looking for on that side of the ball.
Coming up, you mentioned it, a long trip to Greensburg, Pennsylvania for Seton Hill. Now, they're having a little bit of a down year, too. What's more dangerous in your mind, a team that doesn't have any conference wins right now or a team with no wins and playing at home like Seton Hill?
I hope the dangerous team is some Yellow Jackets that's coached by me, and I'm pretty upset right now. So I'm hoping that they could be the dangerous team. And it's crazy. When we went up there 2 years ago, both teams were 5-0. And both teams are ranked in the nation, and now we're fighting for the battle of the bottom, so to speak, going up there. So we're on the road again. Hopefully, you know, our guys, we need a win. I mean, and our guys are excited. Practices have been going well. Hopefully we can get our guys to play with some confidence and we can get that first win under our belt.
We have Kip Shaw coming up here in just a matter of moments. Tell me a little bit about him and a little bit, I know it's been 4 or 5 seasons ago, but the hiring process where you and he were going for the same job and how that went. You get the job, but he comes on, and you guys have just blended real well together.
Well, Kip Shaw is a great guy and he's a great coach, and we're fortunate to, you know, have been able to hire him at the time, and extremely fortunate to still have him. He's a great offensive mind, and he was, you know, maybe the runner-up for the head job. A lot of people said, you know, you don't want to hire a guy that was after the same job. Well, I mean, if he was qualified enough to be the head coach, he was definitely qualified to be my offensive coordinator. And it was a great decision by me, and I'm going to do everything in my power to keep him here.
We look forward to coming up this weekend in the Seton Hill game. That game is going to be on the radio, too. You can catch it on the Seton Hills website. They'll be broadcasting that, but we wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for coming in again.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break right now, fans, and when we come back, we'll speak with quarterback Ricky Phillips right here on Sunlink, Channel 22, Coach's Corner, West Virginia State University.